Subscribe now.
And let's cross right now to Gilan Gork,
Good morning.
the Mentalist.
Everything that we do involves other people. We're always working around other people.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat the other day with some people who were saying, they sometimes feel a little bit awkward that you get some people that when you're chatting to them, they seem to almost get into your space.
Don't we all have different preferences for how close we want people to be? Like you have a certain body bubble, I think. Some people's body bubble's big.
Well, typically, people's body bubbles, and I love that term, usually it's influenced by where you grow up. So, for example, someone who grows up in the city, related, they're usually more comfortable with people being quite close to them because that's what they're used to. What you got to keep in mind is not to get into people's personal space, and just to kind of follow the rules, I suppose, because you can really lose influence if you invade their space, or if you don't get close enough. Sometimes you can disconnect from people. There are 4 zones that we speak about. There's an intimate zone, there's a personal zone, there's a social zone, and there's a public zone. So intimate would pretty much be your lover or spouse, maybe your parents, your siblings, close friends, even your pet would you would allow them in your intimate zone. In fact, I'll give you some distances. Typically in your intimate zone, you're looking at around 15 to 46 centimeters. That's what research has shown.
Oh, wow.
And that would be your intimate zone. So of course you can imagine that if someone who you don't know
very
comes to speak to you in that zone, it's quite awkward, isn't it, in terms of invading your space.
Got you.
So after your intimate zone, you got your personal zone, and your personal zone is typically around 46 centimeters to 1.2 meters. So that is what we call your personal zone, and that'll of course be people you know, your friends, and so on, and just generally people who you would converse with and who you're quite comfortable with still, who are in your space. So that's still a pretty safe zone to be. Then you have your social zone, and your social zone is 1.2 meters to 3.6 meters, which is quite a big area to play with.
That's a big bubble.
Yeah.
Okay.
And typically if you're at let's say at your company's cocktail party, for example.
Yes.
With all the year-end functions that are happening now, I guess that's applicable. So typically people will stand at around that, those sort of areas. People who it's social, if they're your friends, they might come into your personal zone. If you're in a social environment, you find someone is constantly, you find that they often land up in your personal zone, someone who you don't know, let's say, then that would show that psychologically or subconsciously they're trying to gain proximity towards you. So
that's usually if you know that someone's interested in you.
Exactly. And the last zone is the public zone, and that is 3.6 meters or more. And if you're in a shopping center and you're walking past people, unless you're walking past just by default that you're close to each other, typically you'll stay at that kind of distance.
Awesome stuff. This is really handy. Thank you, Gilan.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you, man.
Click here to subscribe.